Now, you guys all watch TV shows like Power, what you would call shows that are geared for the urban community. Now, when you think of scenarios, don't forget to hit the like button. That you watch on these shows and you're somebody from the streets and you've seen certain things, you know when things are different. Yeah, I was watching Raising Canaan and I was just like, man, this is a TV show. First off, one, I've never sold drugs before in my life, but I'm from the streets, seen a lot. I didn't grow up in this rich suburbanized neighborhood that I live in now. By the blessings of God, I'm able to stay in this neighborhood. But there's other tropes to think about, bro. See, you got to think of things unilaterally, right? Look, when you see stuff that don't make sense, or it just seemed a little too good to be true. First of all, shows like Power, The Wire. The Wire was about as close as you can get, but it's still dramatized. A lot of things happen on that show. But that was probably the more realer side of it, especially the first season. But you're going to get to the street life. But just so the common folk would understand and know a thing or two, let me tell it to you like this. In the hood, okay, you're not getting bricks. I'm sorry. I know this might come to a shock, but drug dealers don't walk around with bricks. Or don't just get a whole truckload full of bricks. That don't happen. Okay? Right, you're not getting your key. No. Ain't no, yo, man, he got keys everywhere. To find a guy that got keys, that got multiple keys from the hood, he's plugged. And ain't too many of those guys together. Now, no. So when you start thinking of the game, start thinking what it actually means. Most of these guys don't even have enough money to get one brick. They'll get a 2 and a split, which is a 2.5, and they work off that, and that's probably the max they can get at that time. and they keep working off that. They got a bunch of people pinching off that. Then they get some more, break it down, chop it up. Mess it up. But here's another part of the street game they don't tell you, to the commoners. Work don't sell that fast. Sometimes you got work that ain't moving. Yeah, see, they don't show you the struggle. They just think, oh, you got drugs, you're moving the money, there it is. No, sometimes it ain't moving. And that caused a whole litany of problems. Then you got the problem of your crews. You know, I never understood why dudes did it, but when you come from nothing, this is the life you think you know. D-World and Bob Braddock. Big Bob Braddock. Big Bob Braddock was a big white guy living in the hood. Big white guy, like he could have been an MMA fighter. Big Bob Braddock. Boy stayed in Bally's gym. Drinking creatine for breakfast. Drinking his own infused water. He was something else. Big Bob Braddock. D-World. Edward Worley. Better known to the world as D-World. The world is mine. D-World, man. So, D-World flashy, up to par, entertaining, whatever you want to call it. D-World was that guy. He ain't take nothing lightly. D-World, nice car, had it all kitted out. Then he had a Nissan Altima. Go ahead. Then he had a Nissan Altima, in which he drove constantly. Hi, you are currently recording. So, when you start seeing things like Mr. Worley and Big Bob Braddock and what they're doing, then you know the game is pretty messed up. What they did was, he had a Nissan Altima that he worked out of. He would go around in that Nissan Altima. Far from the flashiness that he would show and portray any other night. Now you like, what in the world? Why is he flashing and all this when he go to the club? Because he want to show people this is what making it look like. But when he grinding, he in that alt ball, which he like to call it, the alt ball, the Nissan Altima, with all its luxurious features. The alt ball was his direction, was his answer back. See all the emptiness that he suffered. Nissan Altima could get into any neighborhood without being questioned. It was cheap and reliable. So that's why he got it. So he can go in any neighborhood and not be looked at as the hood car. He didn't want to get what they call the hood car. World pushed that car till it had hundreds of thousands of miles on that car. And he was like, one day he was like, see that car? I made 5 million. Morning. So he was like, you seen that car? I made like 5 million because of that car. That car got me to where I'm going. I'm telling you, man, you do it this way, man, you be up and running in no time. So the pitch is to try to get me impressed so that I can follow this path and I can give up my 9 to 5 and do this and work for myself and get a crew and push out drugs. Now, Big Bob Braddock, all he cared about was lifting weights. And just by having Big Bob Braddock with him, a white guy who was like his enforcer, but also he had a bad nasal problem. That boy was on the booger sugar heavy. So he was in debt. So he didn't even have to pay him. He was paying him in below. Now, the ultimate situation you're going to run into, here's another thing they don't tell you about. They glance over it in the movies. But droughts. Yeah, there's a such thing as droughts. You're going to have droughts in this game. For whatever the reason, the product ain't show when it was supposed to. You tried to re-up, and the Connect said wait. You ain't got the money right away for the Connect. You ain't got all of it. It's short. Whatever the reason may be, that drought brings doubt. And in the game, you have to understand the conversations that are happening in rooms you're not even in. You got to know what's being said in there. I've always had a gift where I know what type of conversations are being said about me in rooms that I'm not even in. All the time. Yeah. So drought brings doubt. So once you're in a drought, you get to see who's really who. And now you got guys in your crew whispering, talking like, man, he ain't even hitting no more, man. Dude's across the way, man, he talking about he got it and he can get us work. Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, this sometimes he got it, sometimes he ain't, man. He be fronting. All it takes is the one doubter start working on the mind and poisoning the whole crew. So if you don't find that person right away, that'll be bad for your crew. Now, it's impossible for you to know the inner workings all the way at the top of the line. Those type of dangerous conversations. When you're meeting with the possible connect and all of those different things. But to get keys or metric tons, which never happens in the hood. I've never seen nobody in the hood with some damn metric tons or access to metric tons. The people I know of that had that kind of weight wasn't usually from this country. Okay, they had visas. And were very dangerous human beings. Now, well, you look up what a metric ton is and see how much that is. But in order to get something that would be considered a metric ton or something in the category of that, you would be needing to not only knowing the connect, but to get access to pounds like that, you would have to be able to speak the language, bro. You got to speak that guala, guala, guala. You don't speak that language, bro. They ain't dealing with you. They're not about that giving a brother a chance. So it doesn't work like the movies. So if you think it works just like the film, like, oh, this worked just like the movies, it does not. I watched somebody get stabbed over half a gram, and it was so stupid. I'm like, just give him the half a gram. What's it gonna hurt? This dude is absolutely insane. But please give him a half a gram to shut up. He's like, no, I ain't giving him this half a gram. If I give him the half a gram, then he'll be back in about 15 more minutes. Talking about give him another half a gram. Then another happened. Man, I ain't finna go through that with him. About 2 minutes after that, they said about 5 words to each other. Then stab, stab. Then he grabbed it out of his hand. No, it was on the table. My bad. Grabbed it off the table. Boom. He up out the door. Stabbed my boy twice. Took off. Now, my boy didn't recognize what I saw right away. That boy was willing to kill for some drugs. And you let him come in your house and get this close to you. This is what happens when you get comfortable. You let people get too comfortable, they do things like that. Oh, what happened to D-World? Well, D-World, he ended up becoming a legitimate businessman. Went and got his degree. And now he is some type of licensed therapist. So D-World is doing his thing. What happened to Big Bob Braddock? Big Bob Braddock suffered a stroke shortly after, but Big Bob and him fell out over drugs. And see, the thing about Big Bob Braddock is he had all them big muscles, but them big muscles didn't save him when he got into a fight. Now, he was the enforcer, and then he came up with the bright idea that he should sell the drugs too, and he could do it. That wasn't a good idea for Big Bob Braddock. He was entering a world that he didn't understand. Just because he was surrounded by people that used just like him, they shiced him just like him. So Big Bob Braddock decided, hey, let me punch guys in the mouth when I ain't got the money for the coke and they come asking for it. Just punch him in his mouth. Crack! Told you I'd give it to you when I got it. And then they would run off. They probably would, most of them would leave him alone until he hit the wrong guy. Then Big Bob Braddock was jumped by 15 guys about 10 minutes after the punch. Beat him within probably an inch of his damn life. That was the end of Big Bob Braddock's drug career. He went back to the weights. Tried to fight in the MMA circuit, kept losing. So then he decided, let me try out for WWE. That didn't work. Then he suffered a stroke probably about 3 years ago. Probably 3-4 years ago, I think 2019 or 2020. I heard he suffered a stroke. He's still alive, but I don't know if he's still alive at this point. I ain't heard nothing about him in 3-4 years. So. But he didn't die from that stroke. No, I haven't talked to the world. I think he might be on Facebook, but he's totally changed his life. One of the brothers that got out of the game without getting shot did go to jail a couple times, but never for drugs. And he stayed to a discipline, a rule that would keep him out of jail. Most people fall victim to the vices that they're in, where he stayed grounded to the rules and didn't get too lax like my buddy who got stabbed. Now, my buddy who got stabbed got up and took care of that guy who stabbed him. He gave him a nice home, a nice resting place. He ain't got to worry about nothing else no more. He freed him of all his worries. To show how forgiving he was. Now, when you start seeing things that don't pertain to you or don't matter to you, how do you handle it? Are you prepared to do what's necessary? Most people are not. He sure got a wrestler's name, Big Bob Braddock. I know, tell me about it. He's a big dude. But he was so big he couldn't fight. He never really had to fight. He's just big and strong and slow. I remember he was like, "You want me to lift the front of your car? I could do it. I could bench the front of your car." I'm like, "I bet you could." But I don't want that. He just be bored. Mm-hmm. So it just shows you, man, real life and these dramatized television shows are completely different. Like, for television reasons, they're not gonna allow someone like, for television purposes rather, they're not gonna allow someone like say Kanan Stark. Kanan Stark would have been taken out in like season 2 or 3 just to get back at Rock. Once they knew Kanan was in the game, that was a weekend for her. As soon as he trying to set up shop on his own, they gonna be, oh no, now they gonna make him the one. Nah, that ain't finna happen. Marvin would have got taken out. Lou would have got taken out. She got no soldiers on the street. And then talking about they in a war. But she protected by the Italian mob. Now that part has happened before. When somebody else were protected. So you couldn't touch them. But still, what they couldn't do is walk up in your place. Talking about we finna have a talk. That ain't gonna happen, bro. You'd have got laid down. Y'all would have had to meet at a neutral site. Because they could easily flip the story like, yo, he came up in here getting wild. and loud, and I had to put him down. So we could talk to the bosses and everything, but hey, it was us and him. See, they could easily do that because you came up in their play, and that in the streets, that would have happened. See, they gotta make it look clean if somebody's protected. Stefano, if this was real, Stefano would have killed Rock and put Marvin in charge a long time ago. Forced Marvin's hand to be the boss. If this was real. It's too much exposure. Rock is too dangerous. He'd have waited till the product arrived. Now he's got the connect and what's happening with Marvin. So now he put Rock down. But by Rock putting Quan down, it protects Rock because Rock is the real person that's connected to the situation. But Stefano met with him as well to connect. So I'm quite sure he's going to have a relationship with the connect that would get Rock up out of there. In real life, she'd have got Rock, and they'd have put Marvin in charge. So as him and Marvin got close and tight. So this is why she didn't want him messing with Stefano. Because now Stefano's like, cool, I'm cool with Marv, and we got our own friendship. So now if I get rid of Rock, boom, Marvin, his hand would have been forced. He ain't got no choice but to be the boss and run the operation. Now, and a lot of this stuff is dramatized. It's like Tyreek up at school trying to make all this money in one day. I'm like, who is writing this stuff? You wouldn't get that probably in a month. Just call up somebody and they hit a university and they just make that in a day. Come on. What kind of... I don't care if they rich college kids or not. There ain't no doing that. Jonathan Hamill, he was the money man. You gotta have a money guy. That was world's money guy, Jonathan Hamilton. And that's the guy who was the... So, Snaps and pop. First of all, snaps and pop. There was plenty of people like snaps and pop back in those days, in like the 90s. They had cocktail lounges. They owned things. Like they had their own businesses. But on the side, they were hustling. Then they get out the game. They were smart enough to go legit, have a successful business. And what they become now is the financiers. They finance the business. They're no longer in it. So you always want to be surrounded by people that do that. Now, they're more dangerous than the plug, than everybody. And the reason that they're so dangerous is because they're loaning you the money up front. And normally the money is spent on the product. And they don't want product in return. They want their money. Now, if you got product and somebody be like, did you move that product yet? And you still got it, you can get them back the product. But the money is spent. So you got to get them back the money. Plus what they owe. There's a juice and a fee attached. Then on the other side, it's the other thing. What they call, the Italians normally call the vig, which is a percentage that's put in place to make sure I get something for giving you this money. So I just stay true to form, you know. I don't consort with too many people. But one thing I wouldn't do was finance anybody selling drugs. Couldn't do it. I don't need that in my conscience. I don't judge people for how they live their life. But I can't do it. I'm not finna finance that life. Because I know that's a short reward. Most people die and go to jail. Most people don't end up like World. Ain't no out clauses. And people who are financiers of money, they know who to pay to get something done. You need the muscle, you need the brains. And you can't be the one with both. A lot of crews didn't fail because the boss had to be everything. But when it was time to delegate to the others, he was still trying to keep everything close for his own protection. Like if I tell them everything, then one of them gonna grow a brain and say, we don't really need him. That's an extra 30%. They team up, take me out, and I'm out the game. They ain't gonna think I put them in it. this game's shiesty. But what he didn't realize was him keeping everything in house, that when the feds came a knocking and took him down, that everybody else was screwed. He didn't go down for drugs. He went down for handling business. When he could have had 15 to 14 other people handle business, he chose to go handle business on his own. Welcome to the game, partner. People are weird. They do weirdo things. They have obsessive compulsive. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down and let my phone charge up. I'll let y'all later.